Where to get started with your smart plans. The more relevant it is, the more effective this is going to be. The problem is, what if my data doesn't have that information, right? This is our framework for our recommended order of operations for Lofty. We got the website straight. That's the first step. And number two is data. I think you have data already in your system. And then next, we recommend getting everybody on the engagement automation. And we want to get everybody, or as many people as possible, on those weekly property alerts for buyer leads, weekly or biweekly market snapshots. The market snapshot and the property alerts, same idea. You can send them weekly or bi-weekly, and I can show you some examples of what those look like. This just came in an hour ago. Wonder what that looks like inside. I click on it, and now I go into their website. And now I'm on the website that we designed for them. Again, silky smooth, works great. And now you got me curious, so I'm looking around at other maybe waterfront homes, and now I'm in their world, right? In their ecosystem in the website. So that's the property alerts. They look like this. Market reports look like this. They're more graphical. Here's the latest market report that I just got the other day for October. It just came out in November, and they had 190 listings, 9 pendings, 125 median list price, and all the graphs. So, and the idea with these is you want to follow up with a phone call. Now you got an excuse to call or email them and say, hey, did you get my monthly market report? It's pulling from 4 or 5 different fields. The search criteria for the property alerts, there's a min price, a max price, an area, and that area can be city, county, or zip, and there's a property type. And that now we're talking property alerts. That's the search criteria field in your database. It's going to be on the left side. So let's say in my case, I live just outside of Fort Lauderdale. I live in Broward County, Florida, and I might say, okay, I want to send properties that are going to end up in these people's inboxes that I think they might be interested in that area. I know my market really well, and I know that you can get a condo on the low end. You get a decent one for maybe 350, 400,000. So maybe I specialize in families, in the middle range. So I might go property types, condos, single family homes, and townhomes between 450 and 800. The property alerts pull from the search criteria fields, and the market snapshots pull from the property fields. You can export your entire database into a spreadsheet. You can find those fields, slug in the information, just kind of drag it all the way down the column and fill it in like what I just described, and then import it back into your system. Make sure that the property alert, those engagement tools are activated under settings. And now when you import them, all those people are going to start getting these things weekly, biweekly, and or monthly in their inbox. That is the number one engagement tool. That's why I go back here to our recommended order of operations and always recommend that we start with those engagement automations. We call it SOI Kickstart. And that's exactly what I described is exactly what we can do. We would say, what are your areas? Let's look at a price range, and we look at that data together, and we say, what's your minimum price and what's your maximum range of the kinds of listings you want to show up in your people's inbox? And you would say, well, Steve, just like the conversation I just had with myself, I know my market, Steve, and I know you can get a decent condo for whatever that is in your area. And then on the higher end, I know a single family homes go for blank, right? And then I would say,
Yeah.
well, are you focused more on the, on the luxury range, on the mid range? We manipulate the data to kind of plug that in to the system to get it to do what we want it to do. And the ultimate goal here is to get those things that I just showed you for that sample that I showed you
Gotcha.
in their inbox, try to get the message out that does work really well. The more relevant it is, the more effective this is going to be. The smart plans come with the system. There's a lot of them, but they are not turned on by default. So you do have to go in and turn them on, go to smart plans, go to library, and you'll see there's dozens and dozens. Start with the Lofty starter plans if you haven't already.
You got to be careful when you're turning this on, because if you have the SOI kickstart and you have market reports and property alerts going out every week, you don't want to overwhelm your
Right.
clients with too much automation going on. So just be mindful of that and make sure that you look at what is going out daily.
I didn't know there was one that says close date anniversary, because that's been really difficult because you can't sort. Like I can sort by birthdays in a month, but I can't sort by house anniversaries in a month because the years are off.
You got to add that data on the transaction side of Lofty. If you
Right.
close a deal, you gotta add when the date that they close that deal. And once you turn that plan on, it's gonna pick from that date that you put in there on the transaction tab.
And I wanted to point out too, I usually recommend that people take a look at here's the Lofty starter plans, all of them. These are automations based on what they are doing on your website. You definitely want to turn those on. Make sure they're matched up to the correct pipeline stages that you have because they're different for everybody. So what I would recommend is not turning on by default any of the sequential email and text automations, but do make sure everyone has the behavior-based ones turned on. Absolutely.
So turned on the company smart plan for birthdays. I turned on my own when she does have a smart plan that's initiated for everybody under the company. Does it come from the brokerage when it's going to my clients, or does it still come from me?
It's going to come from you, and it's going to have your signature at the bottom. Because if you look at the template, it's a variable in there at the bottom. Like
Okay.
the signature is a variable. It'll be hi something from so it's a variable that gets slugged in with your Lofty user information that's already in there. And the sending
So-
email is also a variable that's going to be from your sending email, not the brokerage.
So I was just trying to figure out if there was a smart setting that could be set up to where I don't have to manually do it myself.
It might be a manual process. We're gonna look into that and get back to you. Because
Okay, thank
sometimes,
you.
if you're at the top level, so it's only gonna trigger what's with your broker ID, license. What I see is best practice is to have them live under the company smart plans and encourage agents to go in there and shop. Once they pick it, it's gonna go into their library and it's gonna slide in their signature and their details, and it's gonna go out, however
Right.
it's set up. So it's good to encourage them also to start shopping, and anything you set up or you shop from other vendors, we encourage you to, if it's smart plan related, think of it from a team level. It's going to trickle down to your agents, and that's going to be more valuable versus having them to figure this out on their own.
Is there anything that's like an auto trigger for like an email?
Yes, you see in the upper right-hand corner under Actions, the Actions tab, and go to the drop-down underneath that. It says Send to Leads.
Okay, but that would only be if they had something that I had them set up on a search that they were looking for something like this.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the intelligent filter that's pulling all the people in the database that have this criteria.
Is there a way for me to see like our brokerage listings through Lofty?
Under listings, there's a
Oh,
drop down on
office
your left, and then it's gonna show office listings. That's where you go and you can shop there and just select which ones you want to send and send to leads. And how we really go around this is segment data and then tag that data and then automate so that it's more valuable to your clients.
But you can also make a landing page for multiple listings that are in your office that you want to send out to your entire database. Once you do all these other steps, and we skipped over the AI and making sure you got a virtual number, let's skip ahead then to number 6. Now you're ready for your first 3 campaigns. And this is where you're going to want to think in terms of an offer. You can tag that, or sometimes you can get a little bit creative with the manipulating the data so that it will pull some foreclosure lists from the MLS. That's going to pull investors that are looking for a deal, right? Or you could turn the form completely off, not do any lead capture, and then do, like you said, just make it kind of a monthly communication, and push it out to your audience with your latest listings, let's say.
Does the copy allow you to like hyperlink it to like a link tree or something like that?
Yeah, that does work. And I think with Instagram, what I find is this issue when you start adding links, let's say to your link tree or to your story, because you can share a link on an Instagram story. The story one will stop you because that link tends to be long. So I would say find tools online to shorten the link, and then you slide that in, and it's gonna send people straight to your landing page.
You can purchase some of these directly on our website, but if it's a project, you got questions or you want to work out a strategy, you got our number. It's on chimenerds.com too. We do this every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Tell your friends, they're your Lofty users, anyone else, if they have any questions about the Lofty system, bring them here and we'll tackle them.